Welcome to Nothing Finer. I'm your host, Rick Beach, along with Austin Allen. Austin, that was a tough one this weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a hard one, man. Couldn't ever get it going, and now we're back to the Sugar Bowl yet again, and hopefully our guys can stay up and compete in that one. So,
yeah, Georgia, obviously by now lost 37-10. Got a late touchdown, with Pickens.
Thank
of course,
you, Pickens. Yeah,
Pickens really changed. You can see it change with him.
Yeah.
But just looking back at this, first thing, obviously, Joe Burrow is for real.
Joe Burrow's that dude.
That's the Heisman Trophy winner.
Joe Burrow's that dude. We came after him, man. We rushed, contained, we controlled our rushes. We did everything we needed to do, and he still found ways to get away from it and make crazy plays, man. That's Heisman worthy by far.
Yeah, and then you look on the other sideline with Georgia, what you see going right for LSU, you see going wrong for Georgia. This wide receiver position has been a liability all season.
Yeah, it's atrocious.
It really came back, reared its head again.
Yeah.
Simmons with the drop on the first drive, Landers with multiple drops, multiple issues, been going on all season. You think it's time now with Cortez Hankton? I know we sang praise in the offseason, but looking at the development of this, how you see UGA handling this in the offseason?
They got to find somebody else. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. I mean, you got guys who've been here multiple 3-4 years, and they're still routinely dropping passes, and their routes aren't on point, and they're not on the same page with Fromm and whatever play call is being called. Sometimes there's mix up on which route you need to run or pulling up on a route, and those are things that's fully falls on coaching in my eyes. So I think a change has got to be made. I think that Tyler Simmons drop first play is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, this whole, you could tell the game plan was to jump out in front, but we never executed every opportunity we had. We missed. We couldn't jump out in front. So, playing from behind, we knew that was going to be a tall task.
Yeah, and we go into the game with Cager, then obviously Pickens sitting out in the first half. Then you lose Blaylock in the first quarter with the ACL.
Yeah.
So you're down 3 bullets, and you're trying to go into a shootout with a team like LSU,
Yeah.
which it really wasn't a shootout. Defense held its own.
Yeah, well, they held their finger in the dam as long as they could,
Yeah.
but with no answer from our offense, eventually it just busted right over
And then
us. So.
Rodrigo missing field goals. At halftime, he came out. I think we counted 6 in a row he missed at halftime getting ready. So, and they wasn't close. So he was
off. Yeah.
He had off. And then the short miss,
Yeah.
when it was 20-3.
Yeah, that was
He
huge.
missed the short one. Then the very next play was the LSU's Joe Burrow Heisman moment. Trevon Walker. It was a great call on defense. You had the blitz. You had it where you wanted. And Jordan Davis and Trevon Walker both miss. Obviously, Burrow rolls out, 70-yard pass down to the 10. Then it was Katie Barr the doors after that.
Yeah.
Which, giving up 37 for where we were, and this offense, it really wasn't that bad. Our offense did our defense no favors.
None.
3 for 13 on third down.
Yeah, I don't think this. I mean, this is defense besides the couple of explosive plays. I mean, this defense played about as well as you could ask it to play, and the offense just kept putting it in bad situations, bad positions over and over and over again. So, at some point the levee's going to break, and that's what's going to happen. That's exactly what happened.
You can see Kirby and Lanning were constantly switching people. They had, the 3-1-7.
Yeah.
They tried all these different forms. They even had 8 DBs out there at one point with no linebackers. But, Georgia is a physical game. LSU plays a physical brand. The injuries came out. You saw Tyreek Stevenson get hurt. Walter Grant got hurt.
But they did a good job shutting down the run, too. They really did make LSU one-dimensional. But Joe Burrow's one dimension is so good, it's hard to,
And it's just, and Georgia is young at defense. We got 2 safeties, but we're young at corner.
Yeah.
Even Campbell, who seems like he's been there, this is his second year. He's been hurt most of this year with a turf toe.
Yeah.
So he don't have a full second season.
Yeah, right.
Got hurt last year with a shoulder. So, it's a lot of these things. Georgia, in a way, I sense an overachievement when you look at the injuries and you look at the situation we've been put in. But at the same time, you look at the offense. We've talked about Hankton. We see Jake Fromm's regression. This is not the same quarterback we've seen.
Yeah.
The missed throws, the misreads, and it's, falls on Coley. This is his second year at quarterback coach, first year calling plays. There's got to be changes that come on the offense, and we know Hankton needs to be a change, and we feel Coley's got to be a change.
Absolutely.
Now we know Pittman left, so now the best time to change your offensive strategy.
Yeah.
The offensive line who wants to play physical brand of football, that coach is gone. Bring in somebody else, and we all know the name linked with South Carolina. They said that, that deal's not official.
Yeah.
It's Mike Bobo.
Yeah.
What's the chances, and how do you feel about Bobo coming into Georgia and what his vertical style would do for Georgia?
I think it'd be great, especially if Jake Fromm does decide to come back. I think he could work with Fromm really well. And, with Pickens and Blaylock coming back and, we getting some more young freshman bulls in at the receiver position, I think he can do a lot with that. will he come? I don't know. You know, there's a lot of mystery shrouded around the whole situation in Columbia right now. We know we're not, but you know, I mean, we do know Mike Bobo and Kirby Smart are close, and they have a good relationship. So I'm sure there'll be some phone calls that'll be had in this, you know, these next couple of weeks. So we'll see. But you know, I'm all for it. I mean, I'm all for making a change at all right now. I mean, I at the beginning of the season, I gave Coley praise because I do like Coley's scheme, but it seems like, you know, Coley in the game, the flow of the game, you know, Coley's not really hitting on all cylinders. He's not making sure he's hitting his boxes. He's not making sure that, you know, he's mixing it up enough, and he's not being, and just like I've been talking about for a month now, you know, creativity in the run game, which never happened, didn't happen Saturday night, and, you know, it shows that all the issues from this year, they all showed their head in one night.
Yeah,
Saturday.
We played a good team. That's the other thing. You look at our schedule. Now, granted, we had some good wins with Florida, Notre Dame, and the Auburn game, but we've kind of just hid, you know, a little bit with we've gotten by, just getting by, you know, getting by the
defense saving us.
Yeah, the defense we're able to bail out, and the offense did just enough. Now, South Carolina game that came up, and we saw what happened with that. Yeah. So this offense just did just enough to keep Georgia going. I think that's good for the coaching staff, especially on the defensive side of the ball, which now Dan Lanning's name's been linked to Memphis, which I don't see any issue with that because as good as Lanning's been, you look, this is Kirby.
This is Kirby Smart's team.
And Lanning coached with Kirby at Alabama as a grad assistant and all. But we already know the defensive coordinator we got with Glenn Schumann, who's a co-D coordinator. He's been with Kirby 8-9 years. He's going to slide in at some point to that defensive coordinator. But this defense was lights out this season, whether the schedule or not. You look, the defense in the loss, the South Carolina played lights out. And then this week, you can say what you want about 37 points, but they played pretty well, especially in that scheme.
Yeah.
And it at some point, their wheel just gets broke when you miss that short chip shot.
Yeah.
It's just, and then that big play happened.
It's hard to stay so aggressive and on top like that when your offense isn't giving you any help. And, you know, it's hard to go back on the sideline and say, man, we got to go do this 5 more times. And what does it even matter? Because we get 3 and out them right now, and our offense isn't going to do anything with it. You know, so it's hard to keep going in that. But they still fought, man. They kept fighting. You know, I mean, they played about as well as they really could for real.
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
because
you think if Georgia jumps out 7-0 and Tyler Simmons makes that catch and we jump out 7-0, then you know this game could have went totally different because this defense could have played from ahead and could have played more aggressive and could have brought an extra guy in after Burrow and things like that. But having to play from behind, you can't give up the explosive play. So they was trying to do everything they could to not do that. But you know, it's just tough, man. When your offense don't help you out and.
Well, you go
third
quarter.
You got so many drop passes and so many bad reads. And
that's the thing, the drops. You go to the third quarter, right before Rodrigo. Remember, we dropped a touchdown. Landers had the corner in the corner of the end zone.
Yeah, dropped it.
Landers makes
he had a chance. He had a chance to redeem himself.
But you go 20-10 with a little bit of momentum.
Yeah,
but instead,
change the game, man.
Instead, LSU gets the ball up by 17, big play, and like we said, that was it. Then the Fromm pick.
Yeah,
right. You know, it's just
he got baited, man. I mean, he just and I know he was. You know, just trying to make a play, you know, because you could feel the time running out, and Jake felt like he needed to make a play, but you just got to be smarter than that. And, you know, I mean, and Pickens is the guy he trusts most on the field now with Blaylock going down and Cage not being there. Pickens is the go-to guy, so I could see him trying to make that play, but you just got to be a little bit smarter about it, you know.
Yeah, you can't be, careless with the ball in that situation. And Fromm feels the weight. He feels the weight from the fan base. He feels, everything's starting to come on him.
Yeah.
And he knows the player's not there at wide receiver. He knows Pickens is it.
Well, he probably figured that out at Vanderbilt. Even from the Vanderbilt game, we said, man, these receivers, they're not on point, and we felt like the development could happen throughout the year, and it never happened. It never happened. Drops every week, and at some point, Jake's got to make a play, but they got to make a play too, so it's really a mutual thing, and it's just it's not a pretty situation right now.
No, and it's not going to be. And because in reality, we're finally where everybody wants to be, where we're looking at an 11-2 season.
Yeah.
As a disappointment. And it has to feel that way because we did make the national championship 2 years ago. We are a hungry fan base. Yeah. We hear the 1980 from every other fan base. And, we feel like we're right on that cusp, but for whatever reason, we're getting knocked down a peg. Yeah. Now with Sam Pittman leaving, we talked about, you think that's going to have any effect at all, or you think it's just, easy come, easy go as far as recruiting at Georgia with Kirby on staff?
Yeah, I think we're not going to have any problem recruiting offensive linemen to this to this team. I mean, the results have spoken for themselves the last few years with the guys we have going in the league, and more guys to go in the league. Andrew Thomas, and so even with Sam Pittman going, and I know there's probably going to be a couple guys that want to follow him to Arkansas, and that's fine. But people aren't going to turn down the opportunity to play at a school like Georgia. When you're a big brand like Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, Florida, people are going to come, and dudes are going to come regardless of who's there coaching, because they know they're going to get a chance to be on a national stage and make millions of dollars after it's all said and done.
And I've said that for years with Georgia. A lot of times, Georgia gets a guy that's a great recruiter.
Yeah.
And in reality, the best recruiting tactic is having that G on your shirt when you walk into the hall of a high school. Yeah. And their rumor with Dale McGee could go to Arkansas. That's good for him. That's not a lateral move. Pittman didn't make a lateral move. He went from position coach to head coach.
Yeah, skip coordinator and just went all the way to the top.
It makes Georgia more appealing to other coaches, because now I can go from a position coach to a head coach. And if McGee did leave, Brian McClendon coached at Georgia for years. When he left, he was this great recruiter. How are we going to replace him with all these great? He brought in Gurley and Marshall and Chubb and Michelle. He brought in Dale McGee, and now people are saying the same thing with, you got to replace a great recruiter. A lot more has to do with that G on
I'm more worried about replace. I mean, I know Pittman's a great recruiter, and I love Coach McGee. He's from the area, great high school coach, state championship coach, and he is a great running back coach, great X's and O's guy. But I'm more worried about replacing a guy like Pittman with guys who can coach these guys up. I mean, people are going to come to Georgia regardless at this point. We built ourselves up to this point. We're always around the top four. We're always in the playoff picture. 3 years in a row in Atlanta. So, at this point, people are going to come. I just want to see somebody come in that's really going to, chop the wood like Kirby wants to do to really coach these guys up and put them
because the recruiting's there.
Yeah.
As long as Kirby's the head coach, Georgia's going to recruit at a high level.
Yeah. And then Kirby kind of takes this out of Saban's playbook, where you bring guys in as coaches and you boost them up and you get them to the next level, and that brings more in and more. And these high level coordinators, they want to come play for you because they see that they come to you for 2 years and they get a shot to go to the next level, to the NFL or to another.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think it's a good way to do things in that perspective.
Oh, I agree 100%. I think that Georgia will get a good offensive line coach, but I think right now, Kirby, if he's going to change the offense like he kind of hinted around, he's been talking about after the game Saturday, he's going to have to go get a coordinator and then attack it from there. And I feel like if we go get Bobo and say he did come to Georgia, he's going to go right up to Knoxville and get his old friend, offensive coordinator with him at Colorado State. He's going to get Will Friend's got to come in. And we saw how good they were. Will Friend didn't get the 5-star offensive lineman, but he did really good with the talent that we had, solid 3- and 4-star guys. So you come in and you give him what he has already. Cade Mays, Ben Cleveland come back, Trey Hill, Jameer Sawyer. You get these guys, and that's how you can see Georgia maybe make a step in offense. But as the offense is now, it's not going to work. You look at the top 10. You ain't even got to look at the top 4, obviously, is all spread out. College football's different.
Yeah.
And, we could try to say all year I tried to cover it with, well, we can do it different. We can be the oddball. We can do – it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Because if one thing slips, if your running game gets 61 yards, you're done.
Yeah.
And there is no fallback. There is no fallback on a passing game. Just not there. Rather, the wide receivers aren't developed, but the scheme's not there.
Yeah, and that's what I loved about Mike Bobo the first time around was his multiplicity, his ability to do different things, to run different kind of concepts, depending on whatever team, whatever situation we're playing in. And that's what I really like about Bobo, because we could go spread out with Murray, and we could go empty sometimes, or we could bring in a fullback and run power. And I love the multiplicity of that, and just being able to always have an answer for whatever kind of schemed up defense you're playing.
Yeah, and he always used the strengths. But look at the quarterbacks he developed. Starting when he first started as a coach with David Green, then Shockley, then you went with Stafford coming, which Stafford had all the talent in the world when he got to Georgia. But Bobo didn't mess that up. You didn't see Stafford regress. Then obviously Aaron Murray, but even quarterbacks like a Hudson Mason, who his talent wasn't near D1 level, but he was in the top 10 team for most of that season in 14, and it's a lot to do with Bobo. He develops these guys. So coming in with Carson Beck coming in, Dwan Mathis being there, you could develop these guys. And then when Bobo gets another head coaching gig, because if he comes to Georgia, he's going to get get another job.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel that's where he would really come in, is developing these quarterbacks for 1 year. Fromm would benefit so much from 1 year with Bobo, because we've seen how Bobo handles these quarterbacks. And the thing about Mike Bobo, he loves Georgia.
Yeah.
He loves the University of Georgia from, obviously playing there, the coaching there so long, living up there. It gets in these coaches' blood. It's in these former players, and you see it with Kirby, how, he's intertwined with UGA so much, and it means so much to him. Just to have an offensive side of the ball and a coach on that side of the ball, it means that much to him. Yeah. Would be a pretty cool dynamic that a lot of teams don't have.
Yeah, definitely. And, I definitely trust Mike Bobo with especially if Jake Fromm does decide to come back, because I think he could really do something with what Jake Fromm does well. We know when we see Jake Fromm go tempo, things seem to pick up. We pick up the pace, and I know tempo is not a thing we like to do all the time, but, it's not really about tempo. It's just about getting up to the line and, letting Jake make his checks and just kind of sling it around a little bit. And I think Bobo's really good at things like that. So, it could be a match made in heaven for sure in it, but, regardless, it's going to be better than what happened this year, because the way it seems like the scheme Coley put up, which is not a bad scheme. I mean, I like some of his concepts, but it seems like, we got like this huge playbook and we use like 3 pages of it, So that's the thing that kind of gets me.
That toss out of the shotgun.
Yeah, that
we
toss.
ran it once, got 9 yards, never ran it again.
And why not go under center and run that toss? Why not?
I
mean, you use the strengths of your guys, man, and just because you don't want to seem like you're doing some crazy old school stuff, but that stuff works, man. I mean, you go under center and you run that toss. Chubb did it. We did it for years with Gurley and Noshawn and, every great running back that's come through here. So it's just hard to, I don't know, man. Change has got to come.
It's got to happen. You look, I always want to go back to 2008 when Georgia preseason number 1. We gave up 40 points, I think, twice that year.
Yeah.
We got, maybe 3 times. I think Tech even got up in there and they beat us first time in 6 years. Defense obviously underperformed. Mark Richt finally had to make a decision since being head coach. Mm-hmm. What do you do with this defense? He elected to stay with William Martinez. Well, the next year, the defense didn't get any better. Mm-hmm. And that's where fans lost a lot of faith in Mark Richt, was that 2009.
That was the beginning of the end, man.
Yeah, and for a lot of fans, that was it. They jumped off the bandwagon. Now, Rick lasted 5 more seasons after that, and he got us within 6 yards, we know, in 2012. But Kirby's at that spot. If you don't do nothing and you bring Coley back, you better hope it goes good. Because if it's the same thing next year, Kirby, the honeymoon's over.
Yeah.
And Kirby's going to start feeling some heat because that's obvious. Whenever people are making calls that aren't involved in the football, and they can say, Georgia needs to change that.
Yeah.
There needs to be a change. And I think that's why it has to happen. Kirby cannot afford to bring Coley back and nothing change. And, go through this again next year. Because we got the talent to win the East next year.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's such a hard part of the job, having to fire people or whatever, But I think Kirby knows what is at stake right now. And, by the tone of him after the game Saturday in his press conference, I mean, I think he knows that, we don't have to evolve full Joe Brady, Joe Burrow, full empty level, but, we got to change things up. And, the running game was not very creative all year, like I've said. And it's kind of hard because DeAndre Swift's a great back, but, being for real, he's not a Nick Chubb, he's not a Sony Michel. Them guys only come through once in a while, So you got to find a way to really work to his strength. Well, obviously, he's probably going to the league anyways, and you got Zamir coming in. But you got to find a way to pick out each individual skill that these running backs are great at and figure out how to use it, exploit it. I mean, James Cook was horribly underused and misused this year. I mean, to me, that's fireable in itself just because, when you don't know how to use your own personnel, I completely lose all faith in you because these guys are studs, man. You just got to figure out how to use them. It's a game of chess. And, I mean, James Coley might as well just swipe the board off the table,
Because he didn't play anything that worked. It seemed like we went away from it.
Yeah.
And, we're going to – and I know you got to establish the line of scrimmage.
Right.
We get the concept of physical football. But why run it up the middle every first down and you're gaining one against LSU?
Yeah, and what's the lack of play action was horrible too.
And early in the season, Fromm's completion percentage was through the roof off play action. And we went away from it.
And we stopped doing it.
The toss sweep Saturday worked for 9 yards. Went away from it. James Cook finally carried the ball like an actual running back later in the season and getting carries. Well, don't do that anymore.
Yeah, all the jet sweeps from Vanderbilt and early in the year with Tyler Simmons and Robertson and all the quick guys, and we went away from that. I mean, it's a quick way to get to the edge, get some yards, and you're not doing it, and it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Then we ran one with Landers.
Yeah.
Who's not a speed back. He's a 6'5" rock
big body,
guy.
yeah.
He's almost like a skinny tight end.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why. You know, somebody. Are you saying somebody like Tommy Bush isn't developed enough to get on the field?
Yeah. Well, we heard he's been nursing an injury all year. We don't know the severity.
We saw him against Georgia Tech finally get out on the field.
Yeah.
You can't put him out. I mean, there's got to be somebody out there to where Landers caught the ball out of bounds early on. We'll give him that one.
Tyler Simmons. I mean, Tyler Simmons is one of the fastest guys on the team, and we know he's had a hard time catching. But, you give him the ball in that way, and he can make something happen. I mean, we've seen it happen multiple times.
Has successes on those end rounds. The jet sweep is where we've seen Simmons at his best.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that worked. Let's not go there. And that's bothersome. Why not? If it worked, who cares? If it works, well, we don't want to use that though. We're on it. Use it till it don't work.
Yeah.
Don't use something till it does work.
Isn't it crazy how explosive we got when Pickens came in the game, though?
Oh, the whole thing
Pickens
changed.
just made
the atmosphere of the stadium
amazing
changed.
catches, dude. I mean,
the dude's legit. But here's my problem, and I'm gonna say this about Hankton: you can screw that up.
Yeah, that's that's my main point. That's why I think Hankton's got to go, because you got these guys in Pickens and Blaylock, and you don't want none of this toxic energy getting in them. You want them to work as hard as they possibly can. So I think Hankton has got to go.
We got that Rosemy coming in from Florida. You got legit talent there. Yeah. You have NFL talent at wide receiver. You don't want to screw this up with having, and I get it with Cortez Hankton. He worked his tail off. He played in the league. He understands the blocking. He wasn't a, prima donna. He knows how to get you to the league.
Yeah.
But that's not working for Georgia because they can block like crazy.
Yeah, we already know they can block. Okay. Pickens is 18 years old.
Pickens
and that dude's as physical as anybody on the team. So.
But let's talk about how these guys against A&M missing blocks at wide receiver, blocking the wrong man.
Yeah.
11 games into the season. That's an issue at coach. That's your position coach.
Totally agree.
But you know what? Let's take this, just like Georgia going to have to do with the LSU game. You got to put it behind you a little bit.
You got one more game. You got to go play it.
And we saw what happened last year. Georgia went to the Sugar Bowl. It is a big deal to make the Sugar Bowl. Yeah. It's going to get downplayed a little bit because we did go there just, a year ago.
Alabama fans will try to downplay it while they playing in the Citrus Bowl or whatever. So.
Yeah. I remember growing up, they used to say you can't spell sugar without UGA, all the stuff from the 80s. So it's pretty neat to go.
Yeah.
But different from last year, Georgia better perform this year.
Georgia got to win this one.
We get Baylor coming in. Baylor's had, 2 losses, obviously both close losses to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
They played everybody close this year. Iowa State, Rice, West Virginia, Texas Tech. They went overtime, 3-point game.
They're battlers, man. So
that's the thing. That's what's ready for a battle. If you're Georgia is don't go out here like you did with Texas, think you're going to roll your helmet out there, and Baylor's going to say, okay, y'all win because you're Georgia.
Right.
They're going to come out and give you a fight. Yeah. And with our offense like it is, Georgia going to be in a fight every week. Yeah. And I see this game could be like the A&M game. Obviously, we'll get more into X's and O's and predictions and stuff in the Baylor game. But looking at it now, from my standpoint, it's going to be a battle.
It's going to be a battle, and it's going to be a huge test for Kirby Smart with all the moving pieces he's got right now with guys who haven't decided if they're going to the league. Maybe some guys will sit out, coaches leaving and stuff. If Kirby can really rally this group together, which I think he can, I think this team feeds off each other. I think there's a lot of brotherly love in this team, So I think them being able to pick themselves up and go out and win this game, I think that'll be a huge coaching success for Kirby and good momentum going into next year.
Because I think if you lose this, it starts this thing with Kirby. Yeah. 5 postseason games in a row he's lost. It's not can't win the big one, can't motivate his guys. Mm-hmm. And recruits do look. Now, I don't believe wins and losses matter with the recruits as much as people try to say. The most important thing about recruiting is relationships. Mm-hmm. That's where Kirby succeeds so well. So I don't think, like the South Carolina game, people say, we lost South Carolina. That don't hurt recruiting.
And I don't think, I think a lot of stuff that the hurts recruiting myth, I think that's all just a bunch of,
It is.
When you're a team like Georgia and you got a guy like Kirby, or you're a team like Alabama with Nick, you can bring guys in. It doesn't matter what else is going on around you. Yeah. You can always get guys to come.
And, the Baylor game's not for just recruiting. But Kirby has to show, okay, we're coming out. Now, I think Georgia team this year is a lot younger. Yeah. So this defense is all going to be playing. Yeah. I don't think people like J.R. Reed and LeCount are going to sit out because they can still help their draft stock. Yeah. One game can shoot you from the 3rd to the late 1st round.
I don't see J.R. Reed and LeCount sitting out anyways. No. They love this team, so I know they're going to get out there and ball out.
But I think first-round picks, you just about would have to sit out. And right now you can still play to get that pick. Yeah. But, like you said, Thomas and Swift, we're both pretty sure they're going to sit out.
Yeah, and I wouldn't blame Swift. I mean, he's obviously banged up. He's only in there for a few plays Saturday.
Yeah, 2 carries Saturday. Yeah. I mean, that's...
Yeah, so
I mean, I get it, and that's fine. I think for Georgia, getting these young guys, I think it's 19 practices or something. you get all these practices. Some of the guys are enrolling super early. They can come in like
Yeah,
we
they can
saw.
come in. Yeah.
We've seen people do in the past. So we can get these extra practices, which help in the future, our defense is so young. Seeing these guys. The other day we had like 5 true freshmen on the field in the SEC championship.
Yeah.
So we know, and I was the biggest one all summer, natty or bust. And we understand this was our year to do it, and we had the talent there. But at the same time, we have a lot of youth. So this bowl game is big for them. But they need to win. These young guys need to know what it's like to win in the postseason.
Yeah.
Because some of them hadn't done it. The sophomores hadn't done it yet. And that's where I see this game. But Baylor's going to be a good check for us because
totally.
they're not scared of Georgia. They're not going to be scared. They've played with Oklahoma toe-to-toe. Oklahoma's in the playoffs, which let's spin it to the playoffs real quick. Obviously, LSU's number 1, Ohio State 2, Clemson 3, Oklahoma 4. Oklahoma, LSU, I think that's going to be an LSU game. And you look at the Fiesta Bowl. What do you think about Ohio State, Clemson?
I really think Clemson's the best team in the country to me right now. The way they just mopped the floor in their championship game. I mean, this was like 62-17 or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they just went off. And I think, as usual, Dabo, they're starting to really mesh together and click at the right time. And I think you're looking at back-to-back championships for Clemson. That's what I think.
Now, I think it's going to be LSU, Clemson.
Yeah.
And I think LSU, if they could keep this momentum, because their defense is playing
Their
pretty
defense
good.
has really come on.
Since the Ole Miss game when they got laughed at by everybody, their defense has stepped up. But, yeah, Clemson, I think a lot of the media knows Clemson's the best team in the country.
Yeah.
They just ain't played nobody, so you can't reward them. It's
Right.
like a kid, you can't reward for bad behavior.
Right.
So you have to kind of put them at 3. I think for Ohio State, going into this game, they haven't seen anything like this speed at Clemson, SEC-type speed that we always talk about with Clemson. But Oklahoma, I think they're finally going to kind of get boat raced. I don't see them being able to hang with LSU. They see them every year. They get in that first round. And Oklahoma just kind of mulls around and, lose a close game. But that's all the time we got this week. You can go on Twitter at NothingFinderPod. You go to Facebook at NothingFinderPod. We got a website, like you go visit nothingfinderpod.com. Got cool stuff on there. And then, really and true, the Facebook, we got some live videos we've done. And YouTube is the biggest. Get on there. Just search Nothing Finder Pod if you're watching on WYBU. If you're on YouTube, we want you to go ahead, click subscribe, hit the notification. We have cool stuff on there. Past shows. We got interviews in the past. You can just kind of check that out. But be sure to subscribe. Like this video. Austin, what are we going to put it behind us?
Got to.
That one?
You got to. I mean, it's tough. It's tough. And offense got a lot of changes need to make, and hopefully you'll start to see that in the bowl game.
And you know what? Next week, when we come next week with the show, we're gonna have a whole new cast of characters to talk about at UGA. But that's all the time we got this week. Put the game behind you. On to New Orleans. God bless. Go Dogs.